98.1. I'm Ayo Mairo Ese, and of course, Rotus is here for Business Express 981. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, everyone chilling on this. Is it No, is it Democracy Day?
Is
June 12 now.
it is
I'm
Democracy
calling it
Day.
June 12 Day, but I don't know. Okay, it's Democracy Day. There you
There's so
go.
many people giving it different names.
Exactly.
But happy Democracy Day again, Nigeria. I don't think we'll get tired of saying it today because
Nope.
it's our first official one
Exactly.
nationally since being signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari 2
Aha.
years ago.
Yes, indeed.
Well, today's business. Well, it's time for Business Express 981. So maybe we'll look at the. Well, we've talked about this so many times, but it's a holiday, so
No.
Reuters might be telling you just how much it's affecting the economy. But if you'd like to join the conversation this morning, please do so on WhatsApp 0809 4440981, and on Twitter we're at Smooth981FM, and hashtag is Business Express 981, and use and also follow Rotus. He's already tweeted about today's show, so you might want to get a heads up before he comes into the studio.
Yes.
He's at Rotan Quotes. That's ROTANKWOT. We're streaming live on YouTube as well.
Hello.
So please tune in.
Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see. Stock market's still down. Yesterday, 0.73%. We're now in danger of falling below 30,000 points. So exactly at 30,099.83 points. 13.26 trillion naira is the market cap. Unilever was our top gainer, up by 8%. I believe Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC was our top loser yesterday, down by about the same margin, about 8%. So market is still looking for some kind of kick up the backside in order to rise up there. So look, every public holiday, I bring this up all the time. I left home less than 30 minutes ago, and I got here in time. It was a leisurely drive. Ayo,
on a normal day.
No, of course I can't try it now.
How many minutes does it take you?
On a normal day, if I have to leave home at about 5:10, before 5:15, to get here in about 45 minutes, close to an hour. Just getting it on time. So when you think about what a decongested road can do for us, this monorail. Ayo, can you imagine if we had a monorail from Oyo stretching into Lagos? I would move to Moe without and then think of what we can do for the real estate prices. Now, of course, real estate prices in Moe will increase because there's more people that will be moving there.
Just like happened with Korodu.
Exactly. But here, they would probably moderate or maybe even fall because, young professionals like yourself and myself and our listeners out there would move. You would just get on a monorail. It would take you 35-40 minutes just to get to the station. And then now there's a story here. Time willing, we spent 148 billion naira in the first quarter of this year, according to the Bureau of Statistics, importing cars. So I think it was the third, or after PMS or refined PMS, was the second or third or fourth the most imported item that Nigerians spent money on. So cars, used cars, because there's a 70% tariff on new cars. So it's almost like you're buying a new car twice if you're importing it in Nigeria. So you think about the decongested roads, Nigerians will spend less money on. Now I'm not just talking about a monorail from Ibadan to Lagos. I'm talking across the country here. So you would decongest so much. There'd be less pollution. We have a green bond, our second green bond that we've issued. I think it's 150 billion or so, where we're trying to care for the environment and do more renewable energy projects. Decongesting the roads, less cars on the roads, Nigerians using more effective public transportation. Every time there's a public holiday, this thing comes to my mind because it's just like
you're selling the Nigerian dream. I know a number of people would. I don't know. And you wonder sometimes something that seems so obvious why it's taking so long for it to be done.
It's mostly it's money. I remember the Lagos State, one of the debates, Babatunde Badamosi, I think it was of the Action Congress or so. He's into real estate. He owns like some estates and stuff. He was throwing out figures as to how much Lagos budgeted for one, can't remember which particular rail it was. He now compared it to Ghana. Ghana spent like a lot less than we did. I think he was alluding to some funny business going on, but it's mostly money. But I mean,
how about political will?
Yeah, there's also political will.
Because during Babatunde Fashola's time, it was moving really swiftly.
Yeah.
And then the project stalled when they came in. So sometimes a successive government doesn't take on the work that has been done by previous governments.
And they're all in the same party. It's the same party that's been here since.
And the reason why some people vote for the the same parties for continuity. So
Right.
build on the work that has already started, but
Ah,
unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
I just said. But anyway, look, for June, as far as June 12th is concerned, as far as Democracy Day, we know that I know you guys will treat this on Freshly Pressed. So, yesterday they swore in the new, I think it's the ninth assembly, the ninth one. Ahmad Lawan, the new deputy president, the new president of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege, who the new deputy president. Then, of course,
I ask what you think about that.
Oh, I have, you know me, I don't really focus, I don't follow politics much. So I had no feelings. My only issue is on the business side. And that's why I'm even bringing this up now. Yeah. For the, and then, okay, the other individual, Femi Bajamila, and then that Speaker of the House, and then Ahmed Idris was. And of course, I think I know where you're going. Yeah. He was the one who took the mace, Sabi, and then a year later, he's now suspended, and now he's the deputy senator. Look, we'll end this show if we go, if we go into that. My own business, as far as the economy is concerned, is that these four individuals were endorsed by the APC and the presidency. President Buhari had very friendly things to say about them. He threw some shade to Saraki and the last Senate, talking about how they held up the budget and so on and so forth. Saraki and his folks were saying, well, it's because ministries, departments, and agencies didn't come to us when we summoned them to come and defend the spending that was in there, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we were all affected. In fact, Buhari even came out and said, hey, Saraki, you're not affecting me, you're affecting Nigerians by delaying this budget. It took like 7 months to pass. So one of the areas here is that, okay, now that they are friendly, now that you got four new people who we're all friends, we should expect bills to be passed quickly.
Yes.
The Petroleum Industry Governance Bill that is supposed to liberalize the oil and gas sector, especially for indigenous oil companies. That Buhari never signed it. One of the reasons why is because it took away the power of him being able to award oil blocks to people. That one is still up in the air. So, Oga, you have friends now. What Nigerians should expect now, so, forgetting the mace and all those issues, just sign sharp legislation that is supposed to push the country forward, right? That is what we want. I mean, look, I have this fantasy about a woman becoming either governor or president, so I keep using you as an example. Imagine you're a president. What's your one desire at Nigeria?
Power.
Thank you. Power. Perfect. So that's even the next headline here. As an economist that writes for Business Day, Dr. Rafiq Raji, he was a keynote speaker at a recent economic dialogue on Nigeria. It was organized by the delegation of German industry and commerce in Nigeria. Yeah, that was the first thing he talked about. He was like, look, but although what he did mention though was that we need to raise tariffs on power. So it's going to become more expensive.
We should actually do a poll on that. Would you pay more if you be guaranteed constant power supply?
Yeah.
Truthfully, a lot of people would agree to pay more.
Yes, they would.
Because you're spending a lot more
on diesel generators, right?
So there's no point if you're going to get good power supply, consistent, uninterrupted. People will pay.
They will pay. Now the thing is this though, the president, as we all know, he's a champion of the poor. So the issue now is what happens. How do you now address the fact that power has to be much more expensive? It is expensive. How do you address poor Nigerians? Well, the only solution, in fact, what Dr. Rafiq Raji talked about was that the rich have to subsidize the poor. So he talked about 5 different power tariff classes: residential, commercial, industrial, special, and street lights. I don't know what special is. Maybe somebody out there can help me. But essentially, it's like, look, we know where all the wealthy people in Nigeria live, right? Your Bodylawn Roads, your Banana Islands, GRAs. There's one section of GRA where it's, my goodness. Anyway, so we know in Abuja, blah, everywhere elsewhere. If you charge them more, you can essentially subsidize poor Nigerians, right? Wealthier Nigerians, they theoretically can pay more and subsidize the poor. Now, theoretically, because they might challenge it, but
for a government who is for a president who is very welfare driven, that should sound very well to him, because then it's in some countries that's how the tax system works.
Yes,
people who earn more. In England, for instance, that's what happens.
You
pay more percentage in terms of taxes. So perhaps it's something
it can work. And now you have a legislature that is locked. In fact, one of the worries is that there's this term, the rubber stamp Senate, where anything the president says you just do or you don't do.
Mademoiselle O
Okay.
on Twitter has something to say about that.
Yeah.
So you asked the question that what can we expect from the friendly relationship between the executive and legislature on Twitter, and she responded saying the passing of draconian laws and the eventual banning of social media. So some people are not actually optimistic about.
I actually know Mademoiselle O. She's not very confident in this government, but and she fears for human rights. I think she's a lawyer as well. But no, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yes.
There's too they now. They won't dare try it now.
I don't
Come
think
on.
they would.
No, if
I doubt it very
you're not gonna.
I mean, there's some senators who I don't know how they'll survive without social media.
Exactly. Right?
How would we find
like
out that
Dino,
latest releases?
Yeah, Dino Melaya, right?
Yeah.
And his music videos. So look, the power thing, you can summon, I mean, we've mentioned Fashola already. He's the one in charge of that. Bring him up there, sign something. Get the tariffs to increase, because that's what the private sector players need. We know we need more meters and so on and so forth. So that's one area. He also talked about signing. That's, again, I'm still quoting Dr. Rafiq Raji, the economist that writes for Business Day. He's also said, sign the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. He used Dangote as an example. Dangote is able to, his main export is cement that he exports to other African countries and so on and so forth. Enable more Dangotes, enable more individuals to be able to trade with Africa. Now, I know the main issue with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is that it opens up trade. So even though it will be able to export there, other countries within Africa will be able to export to us, and there's a fear that will become a dumping ground for their products, since we're not very strong with domestic production of a number of things. So there's that fear. But look, man, you have to bite the bullet at some point and just hope that things ease out. Find out where you are good at, your comparative advantage, and just go with it, because everybody else is signing this agreement.
You have to be willing to take risks.
You have to, and again, it opens. It opens up more markets for you. So that's another thing that the president and his the legislature should look at, and then develop new industries. I didn't know this. Dr. Raji talked about lithium, which is a key input for batteries for electric vehicles. Apparently it's in abundance in Nasarawa. I didn't know this. I just, reading his, I'll probably go and look it up. But there was a while back, I was talking about ETFs, which are exchange traded funds in the West. I like the name, the slang term lit, that Americans use now. So there was an ETF, the symbol is lit, LIT, which is short for lithium. So I remember it was either on Business Express or the marketplace months ago. I talked about it. I've been looking at it. The price is very not cheap, it's affordable. It's about $15-16 or so. Maybe it's increased. But anyway, the point is that Nigeria can be part of that electric vehicle chain. Now again, nobody should laugh at me. I know Ben Murray Bruce came out saying that we should. He put up a bill. For Nigeria to develop electric cars. Everybody was like, what's wrong with you? We don't even have light.
35.
Exactly. Right. But people were like, they shut him down. The bill was ignored. He said, how can you be putting up a bill for electric cars when we don't even have light? Fair enough. But the fact that you have lithium in abundance in Nasarawa, nobody said you have to produce the cars here. Export it. The West is looking for this stuff as far as using, because lithium batteries are going to be something that will, as far as their price and their use, increase over time as more Western nations move over to electric cars. And since we have it here, I mean, I know we don't have light and we have issues, but if you can export it, and it can also aid in the development of electric vehicles here. So that's a brand new industry that hasn't even, according to Dr. Raji, hasn't even been looked at. And then he mentioned Nollywood. It was like, look, Nollywood, you guys talk about it all the time on the grapevine and stuff, entertainment. It says it employs up to about 1 million or so plus people. Intellectual property laws need to be strengthened and enforced. Piracy is rampant.
Oh, that's something that's been talked about for years.
Again, Buhari and his new legislature, his new class of legislators, you can get together, sign laws, try and enforce it, strengthen intellectual property, and you can boom. So from power, the tariffs, lithium, African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Nollywood, number of things, they can focus on that and try to get us going.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll take some comments as we wrap up this morning. Benga Kamu started, the possibilities that rail will bring to the country is limitless. I can even move to Ibadan and work in Lagos. You need to see how many people the rail moves between Yaba and Ojokoro.
Look at that.
In Ogun State.
Thank you, Benga. Yeah.
And then Prince is back saying, not to say authoritatively that girl, Prince, see you during
Freshly pressed, I mean.
But we talk about, I don't think the monorail stopped. They are working day and night on building building the bridge beside the co-bridge, just that the work is slow. Thanks a
slow.
lot for that.
All right.
And then also, Sheon says on power, we cannot pay increased tariffs for the power before the power gets here. Who does that? So we shouldn't do it before.
See, and this is the opposition. See, some people don't want to, they don't want, and I can understand. So we have a way to go.
All right, unfortunately, that's all we can take at the moment. We're out of time. But
Thanks for your
thank
messages.
you very
Yes,
much
yes,
indeed.
thank you.
You're back tomorrow morning?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
6:40, 6 or 5. All right, Lagos, we'll go on a break right now. When we come back at 7:30, freshly pressed 981. Let's talk about the new house, the ninth House of Assembly. Good morning.